Being on the 10 spot at 10:33. Yeah, people, it's a funny thing. I definitely know I do these things on Tuesdays at 10. I just don't always know when Tuesdays at 10 actually is. So when I was booking a meeting with someone that wanted to chat about some training, I said, sure, tomorrow, 10, that works. Tomorrow's Tuesday, Terry. You can't book things at 10. And I could have booked here at 10:30. I probably could have even changed the meeting, but I was like, well, I already said yes. So, and if I'm being totally honest, not many of you are logging on and watching this live anyway. So, did anybody care? Let me know if you cared. Let me know if this whole me messing up my schedule messed up your schedule. That's what I really want to know. So, we're going to talk a little bit about learning and development. And we're going to talk a little bit about inspiredutaining. And we're going to talk about why training is an important retention tool. In fact, let's start there, shall we? It's an interesting fact that people, employee type people, money is important, right? It's one of the top reasons people switch jobs. Uh, but one of the reasons people leave is they don't feel valued and appreciated. Turns out that appreciation's a more bigger driver than dollar signs. I know it's crazy, but it's true. And study after study reflect that. And so, one way that you can show appreciation and that you value your employees is a giant pizza party. No, not a giant pizza party. Investing in them in a way that they can grow their skills, in a way that they can advance their career. And if you're doing it the right way, their career advances aligns perfectly well and maps to your business advancing, right? So if you're giving them the skills that they need to take better care of customers, to be a better employee, to interact with the team more effectively, to lead, to manage, to delegate, to deal with priorities and time, if you're investing in these things, and oh, by the way, most all of those have the same foundation, communications. If you're investing in things like this that are going to help them, again, be more holistic and better, well rounded people, you're going to end up seeing the results on your bottom line. So it's almost like a selfish investment from the business owner's perspective. Charlie and I used to run Motor City Connect together, and we had this phrase we used all the time. It was called selfish altruism. And to me, a lot of what networking is about is being selfishly altruistic. You help other people because you know in the end it's going to help you. Pretty simple. Selfish altruism when it comes to training, you train your team because you know in the end it's going to help you. And why would you not want to do that? So, making the investment in learning and development is so key. And I bring all this up today, March, you're funny, June 13th, because, when we're at the precipice of an economic meltdown that we've been talking ourselves into for 3 years plus, two things get cut from budgets: marketing and training. Basically the two things that you really need for growth. Well, let's get rid of that. We don't want the growth thing. We just want to survive. And there's logic there, right? Survival is an important instinct for sure. That said, thriving is really a good plan. Warren Buffett said something to the effect: when others are greedy, hold tight. When others are holding tight, get greedy, right? He makes money during downturns, like most wealthy and smart people: buy low, sell high kind of deal. So it's an interesting time to be able to invest when others aren't, to pick up new skills while others are remaining stagnant. So I think that's important. Let's talk about this inspiredutaining thing for a minute. What the heck does that mean? Well, to me, those are the three pillars of a good presentation. And that doesn't matter if it's a keynote or a eulogy or a training or, anything but like a improv. Um, they're important. And what are they? So, inspiredutaining, let's break it down. Inspiring, if you're not inspiring someone to take some kind of action to move forward to be better than they were yesterday, why are you doing it? Right? It's got to have some sort of aspirational and inspirational outcome to it. And I want to make sure that every talk I give has that element for sure. Number two, educate, right? It's got to be educational, especially in training, for goodness sake. It's in the name. The whole point of a training is to build some level of education. So, yes, the education's like the bare minimum. I had the good fortune last week of being able to provide training to a training company that books me out for training. That's a great sentence. I should use training 3 times in a sentence all the time. And it was fun, right? Because these folks work with trainers and they have thousands of trainers in their database. And I was the fortunate one that got to deliver a presentation on dealing with difficult discussions. And I got some feedback from the folks that were on it. One of the sales reps sent me an email yesterday and said that was amazing. I really enjoyed it. You are not the typical white collar trainer. And I took that as a complete and total compliment. And I'm not going to go into the details of what that conversation entailed and how he defined white collar trainer. You can probably figure it out, right? It's stuffy, right? And maybe I will go into detail. He said, I find that most of those guys are kind of full of shit. And I laughed and I'm like, well, I'm probably full of shit too. I'm just authentic about it, which is also true and entertaining. But it's something to be said that if you're going to be sitting, especially through a virtual instructor led training for an hour or longer, goodness gracious, make it interesting. And you can do that with the slides, sure, but you got to do it with the delivery as well. Your presentation needs to change up. Nobody wants to listen to, oh man, I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. What was that guy's name from Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Remember the teacher, Ben Stein? That's his name. I knew it'd come to me. Yeah, dude, don't be monotone. Bring some energy. And here's a tip. If you're sitting in front of your laptop and through the Ethernet, then, well, it's not really Ethernet, it's the internet. You're connecting with a bunch of other people on the other side of the web. You got to amp it up. It can't be your normal speaking tone, your normal modulation. You've got to change it because the amount of energy that gets taken away by the camera and the distance from this little guy to me and then through the wires to you, it's all diminished. And I liken this to, I got to be on set for a 6 p.m. newscast once. And if you watch the anchors on stage, right, because it's basically a set, it's a stage, they're so animated, they're so alive, they're putting so much energy into it. But you can watch those same guys on TV the next day, and it just seems normal, right? They don't seem like they're jazzed up at all because, again, there's a degradation between the screens, and it's a really powerful thing. So you got to be 10 times amped, maybe three, but significantly amped up to do this and do it in a way that captures attention, that brings people in and holds them there. So there's your professional speaking tip for the day. So we've talked about inspiring, we've talked about educating, and now we have to talk about entertaining because, good Lord, it's got to be fun. It's got to be fun. And, the beautiful thing for me is the bar for comedy in business presentations very low, almost doesn't exist. So you can be super funny without really trying to be funny in a business talk because people aren't expecting it. Now, I have threatened to go do open mic for many years, and I promise it is a bucket list thing. I will do it. I just have to make time to write some jokes. That said, I don't know how funny I'll be on an open mic where people are expecting to laugh. But when you're in a business talk, no one's really expecting it. So it's really easy. So entertain the people. Three pillars: good presentation, inspire, educate, entertain. Right? That's that. So I'm excited about this, and I'm doing this today because over the last year I've been exceedingly prolific in putting together training outlines and delivering training, and I've built out quite a library. And as I think about how do I want to spend the next few years of my life, you know what? Sitting in this chair, sharing information that is going to help people grow, help businesses grow, help communities grow, and just whatever the result of that is excites me. Right? It really feels like kind of a purpose thing. When I was in college, I chose my college based on the fact of two reasons. One, it had an accredited business program, and two, it had the best education program in the state I was going to college in. So I thought, well, I'm either going to be a teacher or I'm going to go into business. Then I took a psych class second semester my freshman year, and I was like, whew, I am all kinds of fucked up. I had no idea. I had better take some more psych classes to figure out what is wrong with me. This is 18-year-old thought process, 19 at the time, maybe. And I took a bunch of classes and majored in psychology and took, 40 credit hours worth of psych and realized I'm not the only one. We're all fucked up. Yay. That made me feel good. That said, I had enough credits left over that I could take a communications major with my thought process, 21-year-old Terry thought process. If I understand how people think and I know how to effectively communicate with them, I'll be a force to reckon with in business. So my whole life has been studying people. I was delivering pizza in high school. You get to interact with a lot of people. I was bartending throughout college. You get to interact with a lot of people, not always sober. And then I've been in sales and business development and recruiting ever since. I've been coaching for 15 years. I've been speaking for about the same. And I've been doing a lot of training throughout that time. So I'm thinking about maybe a training program with a little coaching on the back end, making a nice little corporate offer for the people. So that's actually on my task list for this week, is to figure out what that looks like. So if you're interested in hearing about that, I would love to have that conversation with you. And just so we put a little bit of a head on that, let's take a look at some of the training classes that Terry has. Hey, let's also take a look at all of the things that Terry has open. Isn't that great? This one. Boom. That's the one we're looking for. Terry has a lot of tabs open. So these are the outlines, right? Giving presentations that get results. I have 4 different topics on how to be a better presenter. Raising your awareness quotient, right? How do you see you and the world around you and become more aware of the things that matter? More public speaking, dealing with difficult discussions, more public speaking. How do you create a coaching culture inside of your business? That's a good one. Great leadership talk. Driving performance, another great leadership. Getting better at delegating, different, but still leadership. how to efficiently manage time. Spoiler alert, you can't manage time, but that's what the topic is. Lead from where you are. Again, more leadership. These last two things don't really matter. The get better results from networking. That's a 3.5 hour class on networking. So that's fun. And dealing with difficult personalities, next level communications, how to have executive presence, how to deal with remote workers, the challenging leaders face with remote work teams, building know, like, and trust with remote teams. Yeah, outline on competent communications. So there's a lot, right? There's a sales 101 and a first time appointments and a whole bunch of other stuff in there as well. So I've got 4 or 5 different classes on that. Um, but at the core, it's about building relationships. The first one being with you. Then it's about building relationships with your team. Then it's with building relationships with your clients and building relationships with prospects. I've got classes on social media that aren't in that outline sheet yet. Um, there's so much. So, anyway, I would love to have that conversation with you if you're interested in training and some coaching that goes along with it to level up your team. Let's chat. My name's Terry Bean. It's been a pleasure to be with you on Trybean Tuesdays. I'll see you next week. Oh, look at the book, findingharmonybook.com. Good stuff. See you.